Rangers. I'm your anchor, Abigail Trout.
And I'm Renee Ingold.
And this is the
Ranger Report. Today, November 3rd, we'll be covering sports news, eligibility reminders, and questions to wrap up the month of October, and more. Now on to school news with Abby.
Thanks, Renee. We're about to enter a new season of sports, but remember that before you're an athlete, you're a student. If you ever need help with grades so you stay eligible, reach out to the guidance office for tutoring. Do you want to get more involved in the school? There are so many clubs, sports, and organizations you can join. Reach out to the teachers and staff that are advisors of groups you may want to join. HT has everything here, and if there's a club, sport, or something else that interests you in the slightest, reach out. This season for sports, we want to make sure all teams feel appreciated. We would love to see the student body at as many events as possible. Make sure that you attend sporting events such as men and women's basketball, competition cheerleading, wrestling, and bowling. The student store will be selling Thrive drinks on Thursdays for only $2.50. Flavors so far include Barbie, the Knockout Punch, Bloody Orange, Midnight Mystery, Pink Panther, Ranger Pride, and Tutti Frutti. Come out to the Ranger Restock and buy a few to support these students. Now, on to World News with Renee.
Thanks, Abby. On Saturday, October 21st, 2023, the world's oldest dog died. Bobby, a dog from Portugal, was 31 years old. He was named the world's oldest dog, and he was born May 11th, 1992. Bobby was a purebred Rafael do Alentejo, a breed of Portuguese dog that has an average lifespan of 10 to 14 years. He is said to have lived 31 years and 165 days. Bobby claimed the Guinness World Record from the oldest dog, Bluey, an Australian cattle dog who died in 1939, aged 29, and had held the record for almost a century. Now, time for our sports news with Sammy and Frank.
Welcome, Rangers. I'm your host, Frank Siaka.
And I'm Sammy Mullen.
And this is Mean Green Sports! Last Friday, the varsity football team played a playoff game against Miami Trays. The last game of the season and ended with a 9-2 record.
The seniors this year were Josh Woods,
Nadir Langston,
Bryson Haar,
Brady Holt,
AJ Kane Jackson,
Nick Morrow,
Andrew Deska,
Bobby Nolan,
Ian Swank,
Dylan Warner,
Jaden Jarrell,
Sharkey,
Big Jake,
Thomas Farrell,
and Jordan Woodard. Congratulations to all the seniors this year.
Anyone interested in playing baseball or softball must listen to announcements for times on open fields and barns.
Now on to our fun segment with Jerry, Nene, and Miley.
Hey Rangers, I'm your anchor Jeremiah Hicks.
I'm Miley Gone.
And I'm Anusia Langston.
For this week's fun segment to celebrate the end of October, we have a very spooky story that's about to be told. Joining us to tell this story is Miss Longbreak. So can you tell us about this story and whatever photos you have to go with it?
Yeah, so my family down in West Virginia, they have a family cemetery that has been used for years. It's no longer in use, like nobody knew is being added, but it's up on top of a mountain and we went up to visit. It was, I think, 2003, and so I had two of my kids with me, and so I'm taking pictures of different headstones for, genealogical type research, and as my oldest daughter is walking behind a tombstone, I snapped a picture of it, and I didn't think anything of it at the time, and she never said anything, but time goes by and I use a digital camera, so there was no film to be processed. There was, it's nothing but dense trees behind the cemetery, so there's nothing reflective back there. It's just dense, and there were just no other explanations that we could come up with. But when I finally looked at the picture and had it printed, I could see both in the original and the digital, but then also in the print that, so Lauren's walking behind it and she looks behind her shoulder as though she feels something, and then there's a perfect orb. And I don't know how many of you know, but orbs are associated in all of the paranormal as being an entity or a spirit or whatever. And there's even like little wing glows in this orb, but it's perfect. You cannot explain it. Like seriously, there's no other explanation. And the fact that it's with my great uncle's tombstone, who served in the army and everything. It's just, I don't know, it always makes my stomach pop.
Thank you so much for being on this fun segment with us, Miss Longbreak. And now I'd like to turn it back over to Renee and Abby to finish this week's video. Wait, I'm not done yet. It's still spooky season in my heart, so I'm going to ask some of our very own Rangers some questions about their spooky season.
Emma, what's the scariest thing that's happened to you?
Like in my whole life?
Yeah.
I don't know. My flight got canceled one time in Denver and I was stuck there for 6 hours. That was scary.
Why would you go to Denver though?
Because I was in Colorado.
That's the same place.
Denver's in Colorado.
I feel kind of stupid, so
Yeah.
you should hand the mic over to Maddie real quick. Maddie, what's the scariest thing that's happened to you?
Being chased by something at Fear of Columbus.
Thank you.
Okay, we're here with Princeton Hunter. And
Hello.
he's gonna tell us his scariest story.
All right, so look, there's this one time. It was me and Elijah and Joe. Joe's over there too. We were on this road. We were making this video. It was like 3 a.m., but it wasn't really 3 a.m. yet. And it was a really creepy bridge. We saw a ghost on the top of the bridge. I'm not lying. We saw a ghost on the top of the bridge. So we hopped in the car. We drove the Sheets and we got food and we relocated there, right? So while we were relocating, right, we downloaded this app because we heard this app was really scary. It was called like Randonautica, right? And it gives you a random location. I kid you not. When we clicked on the location it gave us the same place that we just were.
Oh my gosh. So, can you describe the ghost for me?
Okay, so it was like a really tall person. And they had like they were wearing black.
Did it look like someone you know?
Yeah.
Like who?
Randy.
Maybe Nadir?
It looked like Randy.
Oh, who's Randy?
It looked like Randy.
Who's Randy? Can you tell
I
us
don't
who
know.
Randy is?
Randy, he's a big tall man. He's just a tall man.
Oh, okay.
On Halloween. It wasn't really near Halloween, but it was like, you know, like when you sight something
Yeah.
before,
Yes.
but like he can't attack you yet.
Oh my.
But
Oh my gosh.
Randy was on the way.
So should I be afraid of Randy coming to haunt this school?
You should be very afraid.
The answer is yes.
Very afraid. Because he's coming on Halloween. Even though Halloween already passed.
Cameron, what's the scariest thing that's happened to you?
This happened to my dad, and I left my Stanley at school. So I knew Jerry had chamber choir, and he lives like 2 houses down from me. So I asked if he could get it and bring it to my house, and then I went home and went to sleep. And my dad and my sister were watching the movie Us, which, if you know the movie, it's about a family of doppelgangers that kills you by coming to your front doorstep. And at that exact moment, Jerry bangs on my door. And this is what my dad said. My dad said, he came to the door and he was all smiley like this.
What conspiracy theories do you believe in?
Bigfoot.
You look like Bigfoot.
Since Nini's birthday was this week, we decided to include her in the interview. So, Nini, what is the spookiest, scariest thing to have happen to you?
When I lived in like Springfield, I think I was in my backyard, right? And I had this pretty house, and I had a sliding door. There's another story for that sliding door, but whatever. I was in my backyard playing with my little tricycle, and my mom was sitting there on my porch, and she was just watching me, like doing little kid things, right? And then there was a little turtle, and it was not little, but it was a huge snappy turtle, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, mommy, there's a turtle!" And then, and then she was like, "Bro, you're lying." And then it put its head back, how they do when they get like scared or they're about to snap, and it was like ah. And then I almost died. And then my neighbor made turtle soup out of it. Yeah.
How was the soup?
I didn't eat it.
I would have ate it.
I did not. Because I'm not cannibal.
Mr. Carity, what's the scariest thing you've experienced?
It was earlier today, actually. I was sitting in my aim and Jerry came in unannounced without a pass.
I have a pass.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean it. So nervous. The scariest thing I've experienced. I think light, though. Probably the light.
If you know, you know. Mark, what's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear's got to be snakes.
Why?
Just nasty. Not my thing.
Okay. Ms. Brown, what's your biggest fear?
Well, Jerry, I have a very irrational fear every time I turn on the heat that my house is going to explode. My house is very cold.
Why would it explode though?
Why wouldn't it?
I would trust my What's the creepiest thing that's ever happened to you?
Okay, so I was in high school and I was babysitting and I had put the kids to bed and it was really dark out. The parents were gone late. It was probably like 1 a.m. and all of a sudden the vacuum cleaner turned on and went across the room and I was like, oh!
Miss Diane, what's your favorite candy to eat on Halloween?
York peppermint patties.
I don't know what that is. Mr. Barney, what's your favorite candy?
My favorite Halloween candy, Reese Cups.
You picked the correct one. What's the worst?
The worst Halloween candy, Mounds. Ew.
What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you?
In high school, my bathroom mirror fell off, like kind of flew at me. It was very scary.
Did it like just like fly like this or
It
like?
flew forward at me.
Dang, do you think like, what do you think, why do you think it did that?
I don't know. I definitely believe in ghosts.
Miss Heaton, what conspiracy theories do you believe in?
I think Area 51 is real. I think there's a lot that we don't know, and maybe that's a good thing, but I don't know. I think it's real. I think it exists. I think there's a lot of things that we just don't know about.
I didn't know it was being like questioned if it was real or not. I just assumed it was real.
I know. I've heard lots of things that things don't actually go on there, and those kinds of. I don't know. I think there's something more to it than we as the public know.
Thank you.
From updates of our student store to a wrap up of oh my gosh. What was that?
I don't know.
Well, the Ranger Report has it all. This has been Abigail Trout
and Renee Ingold.
Thanks for watching the Ranger Report and
Go Rangers!